Good morning and welcome back to Morning at NTV. My name is Andrew Kaggwa and this is the segment that we talk about the entertainment industry in Uganda, and today we are focusing on lyrics, the art of lyricism. Your songwriters, who is your favorite? What do they write? What are they trying to say? What emotions do they provoke from you? Well, to be part of the conversation, a reminder, go to our social media platforms, use the hashtag Morning at NTV. Look out for NTV Uganda, that is on X, TikTok, YouTube, and go to our website, www.ntv.co.ug, to watch all your favorite shows live right there and get more information, more articles. Be informed, keep entertained, and keep the love going, turning on your world. It's what we do. Well, to get into the conversation, I have very interesting usual suspects in studio, and that is Andrew. You told me to introduce you in what way? Last week?
Andrew Kaggwa, Mayiga, ex-journalist, film enthusiast, upcoming producer.
I remember you saying something to do with Your Highness, the Duke of...
I'm not a highness. I'm not a highness. You could call me Shadoka Tekiro, but I don't know how troublesome that is.
Well, Andrew, good to have you here, as always. And Emma Carlos. Somebody had told me you were outside countries, but probably they were pulling my leg.
True.
Emma Carlos, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invitation.
How would you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Emmanuel Mlondo, also known as Emma Carlos. I'm a talent manager, music business consultant, and an arts administrator. Very passionate about the creative scene.
Nothing like you, Your Highness, and the shenanigans that Andrew is trying to push.
Carlos Chimala.
Together, Maz. Well, today we are talking about lyricism, and this conversation was sparked off by the latest trending news that has been all over social media and in the media, where the Katikiro, the Prime Minister of Buganda, the Katikiro Charles Peter Mayiga, slammed some lyricists and artists on using innuendos and coveted words to sort of contribute to the moral decay that is happening. And some people have come out to defend and said, no, this is what is trending, this is what the public wants. But he's insisting, why should an artist actually go out of their way to use certain words, to produce certain music, to put out a message that is probably looked at as immoral? Andrew, I'll start with you. The art of lyricism.
Okay.
How is it in Uganda? Do we have actual, serious, professional songwriters?
Yeah, we do. We do, though I think one of the things that has happened over the time is there is a way Ugandan artists look at being written for as a weakness. Like,
sign of weakness, right?
Yeah, they look at it as a sign of weakness, so somehow everyone forces themselves to write, even when they're not really good at it. But just to understand how we got here, you need to appreciate that there was a time when people got into music because they were really passionate. The likes of the times of the Julianas, the Irons, people were passionate. They were not even making a lot of money out of it, but for some reason they stayed around because it said something to them. It was that important to them. However, as time passed, the way music was being pushed, which is something for one day I can blame on Emma Carlos, because at one time he pushed an artist. The way music was being pushed, there was a shift that happened where people started, where they pushed one kind of sound. For example, right now, if you're to listen to a Ugandan radio, on Sunday at 8, I mean it's Sunday at 8, you should be relaxing. You can still hear radio play, say, a song with a high BPM like Nkudi. Like, regardless of its message, why is such a very hyper song playing on a Sunday. But I mean, that's how we've programmed things, that we play the same song. Because we are playing the same song, I think the inspiration was kind of thrown out of the window. And then people tried to do that one song. And then after trying to do one song, it was like, how do I get the audience talking? And that's how we got to those lyrics. However, back to your question, we actually have amazing songwriters. It's just that no one is paying attention to what they are doing, because everyone wants to play this one thing that will either get people talking, and then the media has also jumped on board. They want on the numbers. So if the artist has gotten people talking with a song, the media will also play it because it will also get people talking.
Emma, do you share the same view?
Yeah, partially. However, I would like to start from a point of clarity. When it came to one of the major agencies and key institutions that we are part of a discussion, that a dialogue that was supposed to be to shape Lily Puzzle and who? Gravito Mutuju. UNCC is a government agency that has the mandate to preserve, protect, and promote culture.
Yeah.
Are the songs that are those guys singing part of our culture? You can say yes. Twina, those songs of, Abalongo,
yes,
but they are done privately. Then two, I'm very glad that today you've talked about one of the major stakeholders, who are songwriters and producers. 70% of those songs are done by producers and the songwriters. These musicians are just performers, the faces. So everyone is keeping the important role of a songwriter and the producer. The producer crafts the beats, and then the songwriter who does the lyrics. Thank you very much for highlighting that. Now, these two guys and their songs have been a big elephant in the industry. No one wanted to come out and talk about them. It took the guts of UNCC, I would like to commend them, and FINA to write that letter. However, prior to that, there have been engagements. UCC has been, everybody has been asking who is supposed to shape, who is supposed to regulate, who is supposed to dialogue, who is supposed to, panel beat these guys into good songs. And the agency that has been coming up, most cases, has been UCC. However, UCC only regulates broadcasters. Yeah. And these people's music has been playing. Fortunately, the funny thing, this music hasn't been playing on mainstream TVs and radios. It's been in discos, the clubs, and then social media, especially what? TikTok. Yeah. And then it creates buzz within the population, and then the presenters talk about it. But it hasn't been played and aired on what? On mainstream radio. So UCC's dilemma has been, it's been receiving the complaints, but its dilemma has been, how do we regulate these musicians? However, for me, from my personal perception and experience and working with these people on a daily on ground, the underlying reasons why these people have been producing such music are basically two. Andrew has talked about one, which is the psychological satisfaction of being trending, visibility, being in the in thing, being in the moment. And then the other one is survival. Because when you talk to Lady Puzzle or Gravity, I had the opportunity of talking to Gravity. We were supposed to give a gig to Khalifa before he read the song. My opinion to him was like, Uganda, don't about this one is taking you somewhere else. So the underlying reason has been psychological satisfaction of being in things, and then the survival that clean content doesn't work in the system currently right now. You need to do something of that nature, to be able to go commercial. Taking you back to UCC and then the meetings that have been happening. When we had a meeting with all stakeholders, those are songwriters, musicians, DJs at UCC sometime, I think it was a month ago, one of the arguments that we gave as National Culture Forum, we gave to UCC, is that you and other relevant government agencies create an environment in the creative sector whereby clean content can play and clean content can do what? Reward a musician. That was the position then. However, our position shifted when UNCC called the two parties and they didn't come. However, what I've noticed in these two things, one, how do we strike a balance between survival, artistic freedom, and morality? I saw yesterday the spokesperson of UCC talking about their dilemma, which was true. He talked about an issue of this being a moral issue. Yeah. So if it's a moral issue, that means it's going to take all of us stakeholders, you know, the funds, the media, the creative sector, to discuss and find, is this what we want our creative sector to be? Then two, I also saw Honorable Balam, who is a big supporter of Gravity, coming out and saying that, hey, he didn't agree with the resolutions that came out from the UNCC meeting that these people should be banned, because now you're killing their survival and source to livelihood. I agree with him when he said that in our culture and tradition, we reprimand. You start by using omuzingonyo, which is a soft, you know, punishing thing. Then if
more like
fails,
carrot and stick.
Carrot and stick. Now, going back to my issue, I would like to give you, going back to my issue, which is how do we strike a balance between survival, artistic freedom, and morality. I want to give two classic examples of songs that have that message, but really crafted and hidden properly. I can give an example of Lord Fred Sebata's song, Dole Omwana. Dole Omwana Wange. Actually, when that song came out, I was in senior six.
One of my favorite songs, actually.
It took me explanation of 30 minutes from one of my friends to exactly understand what he was saying. That's the beauty of art. You need to hide it so that when it takes someone critical thinking to know it. Another beautiful crafted song that has that, you know, Senyondo is Parliament Young by Ragadi. He wakes up and says, Tondeka Toyoba, Parliament Young, tabu. You understand it? So Gravity and Eddie Puzzle can artistically, with their teams, either songwriters and producers, because their songs have very good beats, they have very good melodies, they can artistically craft. But this time round, God forbid, they have been very, very direct, which is not very good for, you know, for our culture too, and then the kids around there. But still, they can still craft that music and hide it from, because that's the beauty of art, hiding things, and then it takes someone's, you know, critical thinking and enthusiasm to really discover what you're exactly talking about. So to me, it's about striking a balance between survival, artistic freedom, and morality. And when it comes to morality, it's going to take all of us, the religious sector, the police, the creative industry, all our associations, the media people, to discuss as a sector, is this exactly what we want? Because the biggest stakeholders who are supporting these songs are the fans, and they love them. I've been in disco and they're playing these songs, my dear God, it's like fire. So we need to have a discussion around it, and then we have a conclusion. However, what I disagree with is that when Gravity and Oedipus are summoned and they don't show up in these meetings, it's not a good sign.
That's actually what I was about to ask you. Why wouldn't they be turning up? Aren't there, we've talked about the authorities, what do you call them?
The associations,
the federations, so many times on this show, and how they are fighting for copyright, this, that. Shouldn't these same associations and federations have the responsibility to summon an artist who belongs to such an association and say, look here, you have to show up.
True.
You have to be summoned, you have to be questioned. This is not a free will to do industry. You can do whatever you want. So why wouldn't they turn up? And if they go ahead and make a video saying, I will not show up.
These associations and federations and the forums are a new thing in our sector. Actually, they started popping up around about COVID when we had a pinch in the sector. So there's been a process of one, accepting them and believing them, and then two, it's the nature of artists. Artists are very arrogant, aggressive, and loose mouths. So that's why you see it has taken time. No one really wanted to come. I'm telling you from experience. No one really wanted to come out. You know, you can come out and talk, you know, try to reprimand an artist, and you'll get a backlash. So, like you said, it has to be carrot and what? Carrot and stick. I pity Eddie Kenzo because he has a dilemma. Now look at a situation where Eddie Kenzo is calling Gravity, who is his best friend. How will the conversation start? Man of blood. You understand? So it's a process that we are going through, and like I said, carrot and stick, and then dialogue. I'm very happy that Honorable Prime Minister Nabanja came out. she's the biggest support of gravity.
Of gravity, yeah.
She came out and said, you know what, I will detach because the public is saying this. So it's going to take gravity. Bagamba that a behavior like that or that bullish thing, which is jamuweka. So it's going to take gravity to take heart, and then first of all, he respects the structures that surround him, and then also twitch. But at the end of the day, he also has to stay in business. So it's going to take him a lot of thinking and a team, a creative team, to have him shift from what he's doing right now to clean content. So it's going to take him a little bit of time. But when he sits down and he thinks, he can really craft a song that can, be commercial and yet not vulgar.
Well, some of these things are just beliefs. I mean,
yeah, that's what I was able
because I don't think we have artists that have failed in this industry, and their reason for failing is doing clean content.
Yeah, we have. Practical example is Lil Paso. He did 3 songs before he did Nkodi, which was clean content, and it didn't come out. The guy is speaking money here and left, right, and center because of Nkodi. So we just need to strike a balance.
He has also been so
Emma has pointed out quite a few important issues, and these are to do with the federations and associations that do regulate the artists. Because I don't want a case scenario where the associations are only advocating policy, for what can be an advantage to the artist in terms of financial gain and popularity, but when it comes to the wrong things that are being done in the industry, the associations kind of crawl back into their dark shadow and be non-existent.
I think during the election, the aborted election of Omar, I remember telling some of the contestants, because it was Cindy, there was that other guy, King Saha, but there was some other guy, the third. And I remember telling them that personally, I'm not very comfortable with the association being led by artists who are active in business. Because at the end of the day, art comes with ego.
Yeah, it really does.
It comes with ego where you feel like you're better than so and so.
Yeah.
In the situation of the current president,
summoning gravity,
or the current president summoning Shiba one day if Shiba has done something wrong.
True.
Like, what are the chances that Shiba will respond
to such a...
Like, just think about it, Shiba responding to Cindy summoning her, or even how it sounds. So, we have major players in the industry that are actually giving money to this industry. That the people we deal with, the brand managers of companies that are usually giving us money, personally, I usually think those people should be in the leadership of this industry. One, artists respect them because they are the money bags.
Exactly.
They almost financially run this industry. Yeah. It's easier for, say, Gravity to listen to the brand manager of MTN saying don't, than Eddie Kenzo telling him, blood, don't.
True. Sorry, I would like to draw you back to regulations. All sectors, professional sectors, be it in business, be it in insurance, banking, they have private sector. They don't wait for government to regulate, they do self-regulation. I would like to highlight, there's a time when concerts were violent and people were throwing bottles, a galley, you remember that time?
I remember that time.
OWC gave us a grant at National Culture Forum to develop self-regulations for what? For concerts. So now this is a time whereby we need to seek partners, maybe government, development partners, to do workshops to develop self-regulations. And self-regulations, we ourselves need to see it. Like for this instance, songwriters, producers, DJs, presenters, musicians need to sit and decide on what sense of content what we need. So it draws us back to, like we said, these associations, federations are new things, and I partially want to disagree with you that they shouldn't be at the L. They should be at the ceremonial leadership, but when it comes to technical work, we have people like, say the corporates, the politicians, the managers.
More like striking a balance. You
let them be on the top of ceremonial, but when it comes to technical work, you get technical people to run the system.
As we continue our conversation, I want to come to you, Andrew. You've both mentioned the fact that these artists that have been pointed out and others who are doing the same are driven by the fact that the audience is asking for this kind of music. Is that a reflection of what society is?
I think one of the first things I wanted to say today was Leo Pazzo is my artist of the year. And funny thing, I consider him my artist of the year even when I do not like his one song I know. But my reason for that is that Leo Pazzo has been the only person this year that has managed to shed a light on the kind of society we are. Yeah. Like Leo Pazzo said, tuyimbe byamagezi naye tebabiwulira. And then he said,
he actually said that, yeah.
And then he said, naye ngenda yimba ebyekisula tebabiwulire. He said that before he released the Nkudi. And then he went on and released the song and it actually became fire. Which says a lot about us.
About us, yes.
Yeah, true.
So for me, for that, like, I think he's my artist of there. Like, he kind of touched that personality we did not know that we are, and he showed it to us. But now back onto your question of like I think truth is that the purpose of art, like one, it's not wrong for art to be vulgar.
It's not wrong, by the way.
It's not wrong. It's just that what makes art is art being artistic. Like just last week, I found out Like a Prayer is not an inspirational song. Madonna's Like a Prayer. I didn't know. That one caused controversy. It was very disturbing because I grew up watching the video. They are in the church, there is a choir. So when someone made a TikTok and they were like, it's not an inspirational song, and then I had to sing the lyrics to myself and I was like, whoa, what was this?
I think like, there are so many songs that we grew up singing without really understanding the meaning.
But that's what makes it artistic.
Yeah.
That's what makes it artistic. Like artistic, you have that freedom to say it, and then people take time to decipher it, and they're like, wow, that's what he meant. Like they can even play it around their children and there is no problem. Now the problem we're having here is we can actually, with the bluntness that comes with it.
The latest one,
no, not just like every single one that has come out, like in the.
By the way, it's a trend, eh?
Like, so like right now,
path, eh?
Yeah.
It's
just too much.
Recently, I was at a garage in Bakuli. That's where I prepare my car, and then there was that discussion. By the way, it's a big discussion with borders everywhere. So one of the gentlemen there, an elder, was like, and these songs hit you subconsciously. You're somewhere there, and then you're humming it. So it's so funny. But talking about society, I was at some other station and I talked about it. We as Ugandans, that's who we are. However, how are we going to, man? UCC, in that meeting with UCC, they were like, can't we have this content, like exclusively somewhere where people can listen to it than having it?
Emma, I wouldn't totally agree with that statement.
Which is
that's who we are as Ugandans.
Not all of us.
If that's who we are, then why are
the
people
large percentage?
But like Peter Mayiga, the border men that you talk about, talking about this issue and saying,
that's the 10%.
You've crossed the line.
That's the 10%.
Is it really? Is it the minority?
I'm not a moralist. I'm a realist.
Yeah. We are the minority who think music should be clean.
With it being in the mainstream, but I agree with the fact that apart from them being direct, the songs, the beat, the melodies, and everything are sweet.
What regulations?
So it can't skip. It can't skip an average person who is busy in the disco or a person who's scrolling on TikTok.
All right. So what sort of regulations should be put in place to avoid such an outburst?
It's a discussion.
We understand. We understand that every artist has a right to produce their art of work in whatever inspiration they find, but then also exposing children, because there is nothing as disturbing as hearing a kid, a young toddler,
humming to those songs too.
Humming to those songs.
I
so
agree with you.
What can be done that can let the artist be the artist, but also protect society?
Like I told you, it's not going to take a Honorable Balam Honorable Nabanja, the Honorable Katikiro of Uganda, is going to take multi-sectorial stakeholders meeting to discuss, to discuss, like I gave you the parties, the producer, the songwriter, the performer, the police, UCC, media, everyone, so that we come up with those self-regulations. A whole Bible, not on only lyrics, but a whole Bible on the value chain of what? Music.
But you say
including production, publishing, musical sets and everything.
You had an example of a child singing to a song, and I usually tell people that regardless of how technology savvy we are at the moment, at the end of the day, the media still plays a very big role. Because Emma, you said mainstream medias are not playing them, but trust me, they are radios that are playing them, and those radios have a fan base.
Okay.
And the ones they are not really playing are these ones that are causing an outburst.
True.
Trust me, radios really played the hell out of Nkudi, and it's going to be on their top 100 countdown.
Yeah, close there.
Yes.
Well, Andrew, Emma, thank you so much for this discussion. We shall be back to divulge the issue and figure out what can be done. But for you who is at home, I want right now to cross over to Midday, who is at